Some foremost, and give honors and glory to Yahweh by Shema Shekinah Shai. The honors of the elders of the house of David has been destroyed, decades upon decades, patient waiting for the coming of Yahweh by Shema Shekinah Shai. And my Shem also the brothers that go in their labor, being elected to the marriage, and notice the most uprisings and the uproars among the people, still something to down for the name of Yahweh by Shema Shekinah Shai. My Shem also the brothers are not yet out there, but are being themselves up praying, fasting, acts of prudence, temperance, wisdom, and how to move in the last days. Shown also to Aqua, sincere sisters, the wives that reverence their husband, being submissive, being teachers of good things to the ones at home, and winning men by the correct conversation. Shown also to the sisters that are unmarried, but are seeing the spirit of our righteous foremothers, Rachel, Rebecca, Mary, Martha, Esther, Abigail, and the list goes on. Shown also to the children's thing that abstain from youthful lust can keep us in peer pressure and the love of this world. Right? No more touch on chiefly the ability to control the spirit. Right? The ability to control your spirit. It's a Colossians 3 and verse 1. It says, if ye been the risen with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Yahweh is seated on the right hand of Yahweh. Now, control, deals with having the ability, to sustain yourself, to maintain a certain status quo, right? Having the ability to overcome certain temptation. And what we give you that ability is the intentions and what you want in the truth, right? If you don't have the intentions to change, if you don't have that will to change, then those temptations not gonna be easy to overcome. Right, you have to have the intentions to change, you have to have the intentions to grow within the truth, to overcome and to have that control over your body. Right, this is Psalm 1 and let's start at verse 30. Psalm 1 verse 30. Exalt not thyself lest thou fall, and bring dishonor upon thy knee. So God is covered thy secrets and cast thee down in the midst of the congregation, because thou camest not in the truth to the fear of the Lord, but thy heart is full of deceit. So the intention of being in the truth is to fear the Most High God, right? And once you come in the truth with any other intentions, it can be really difficult, to overcome certain temptation coming with. Because all this temptation, the intention is for you to sin, the intention is for you to go off, right? So if you don't have that will or that intention to keep the Most High commandments, that temptation will overcome and eventually you're not gonna have self-control. Right? This is Deuteronomy 10 and verse number 11. So verse 12. It says, "And know Israel, what does the Lord thy God require of thee, but to fear the Lord thy God, right? To walk in all his ways and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy soul and with all thy heart." Right? So that are the requirements, and that's what the Most High want for we, and that's the point of the truth, the point of the gospel, to fear the Most High God. Right? So the control all is start from you having the intentions to change, if you want to serve Yahweh. Right? Colossians 3 verse 5. So okay. Kanchaka. Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry. Now I'm not going another word, the phrase inordinate affection. Right? Inordinate affection. right? An excessive, unrestrained, and improperly ordered emotional attachment, right? An excessive, unrestrained, or improperly ordered emotional attachment, passion, or desire that exceeds proper moral or natural bounds. Right? Inordinate originates from the Latin inordinatus, unordered, irregular, right? Unordered, irregular, right? And chiefly, me want to touch upon the men having control over their spirit, because in history, men have been known for doing a lot of foolishness, a lot of unrighteousness because of the inordinate affection we have, right? That lust, lasciviousness, right? That lack of control what they have over their body, right? And there's a something what we have to deal with as men within the flesh, right? And the key thing to deal with that, the key thing to control that, is the fear of the Most High God, wanting to change, right? Wanting to serve the Most High. If you don't want that, then eventually you're going to be overcome, right? With the lust of this world, the temptations there, right? So it starts from you having that will for change and working on that will, right? As I always say, you have a plan of action, right? Write down, when you want to achieve that plan, right? And continuously do it, continuously try to grow within the truth, right? The goals then when you set, whether you want to pray 7 times a day, whether you want to read 5 chapters, right? Whether you want to fast twice, or once every 2 weeks, you make sure say you fulfill them. You set those goals as the goal for you pay a bill, pay a rent, or have savings. Make them have the same value as those carnal goals, right? And once you make them have the same value, then you're gonna see the increase, right? Because the flesh is cured to not do, like read, like pray, like fast, right? But it will go the extra mile to make sure say your bills pay. So you have to have that discipline to make sure say you read, to make sure say you pray, and to make sure say you fast. Because these are the only thing gonna give the control where you need over your body, right? Let me get the classic. Right, many men, wise men, strong men, were conquerors. Then biggest weakness was women, right? And the inordinate affection, the inordinate lust, the lasciviousness. Let me get this real quick. Syrup. The, Come, right? Matthew 17, verse 20. And Yahushua said unto them, because of your unbelief, right? Because of your unbelief and the will to change, right? It comes from belief. If you don't believe, you're not gonna have the will to change, right? If you don't believe in the Most High, on the things we have restored upon for His children, then you're not gonna have that will to change, right? It says, for because of unbelief, for verily I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. Howbeit this kind goeth not out, but by praying and fasting. Right? Howbeit this kind goeth not out, but by praying and fasting. So the only way if you have that control and to keep that demon in check is for prayer and fast. Right, I'm reading that back in Colossians 3 on verse number 5. Alright, let's walk down. It says, mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry. For which things sake the wrath of God cometh on the children of disobedience. Right? Cometh on the children of disobedience. So the more you disobey the laws of the Most High God, the more you stay away from the truth, the more victim you're gonna fall to these spirits. Right? The more victim you're gonna fall to that woman. Right? A word of inordinate affection you have. Because the only thing we can keep a man away from these things is the truth of the Most High God. Right? And we see our forefathers, applied the knowledge of the Most High to escape, the folly of dealing with a woman unrighteously. Right? Let me get this real quick. This is Proverbs 5 and verse number 4. It says, verse 2. Proverbs 1. My son, attend unto my wisdom, and bow down an ear to my understanding, that thou mayst regard discretion, and that thy lips may keep knowledge. For the lips of a strange woman drop as an honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil. But her end is bitter as a wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Right? Her feet go down to the death for subject. To death, for her steps take hold on hell. Lest thou shouldest ponder the path of life, her ways are movable, that thou cannot know them. Right? And these are the ways, a woman within this world. Right? They have that facial desire, they have that physical desire where you want carnal. Right? But once as time goes by, and you fulfill a lust, you eventually gonna feel, the pain. Right? You're gonna eventually feel the consequences in line carnally without knowledge. Right? The Proverbs 6 and verse 17. Can't remember verse, I'm sorry. Verse 20, it says, my son, keep thy father's commandment, and forsake not the law of thy mother. Bind them continually upon thy heart, and tie them upon thy neck. When thou goest, it shall lead thee, and when thou sleepest, it shall keep thee. And when thou awakest, it shall talk with thee. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light. And reproof of instruction are the way of life, to keep thee from the evil woman, from the flutter of the tongue of a strange woman. Lust not after her beauty in thy heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids. For by the means of a wolvish woman, a man is turned into a piece of bread, and the adulteress will hunt for the precious life. Right? For the means by a wolvish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread. Right? And this are gonna be the results if you don't mortify your members. Right? You're gonna turn into a piece of bread. Practically, you're gonna turn to nothing. Right? And this happened to many of our forefathers because they give it to us. Right? Because they giving to lust, they became a piece of bread. Right? From being king, men of honor, to absolutely nothing. Right? Because they not attain, they don't have that will, they don't have that belief. Right? Either they don't have it or the belief fade away, in time. Right? It says, can a man take fire in his bosom and his clothes not be burnt? Can one go upon a hot coals and his seed not be burnt? Right? So is he that goeth into his neighbor's wife, whoso toucheth her shall not be innocent. Men do despise a thief if he steal But do not despise a thief if he steal to satisfy his soul when he is hungry. But if he found, he shall restore sevenfold. He shall give all the substance of his house. But whoso commit adultery with a woman lacketh understanding. Right? Whoso commit adultery with a woman lacketh understanding. Right? He that doeth it destroyeth his own soul. A wound and dishonor shall he get, and his reproach shall be wiped away. For jealousy is the range of a man. Therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance. He will not regard any ransom, neither will he rest content, though thou givest him many gifts. Right? He will not regard any ransom, neither will he rest content, though thou givest him many gifts. And these are the high emotion that men have over woman. Right? You find out say a woman cheat, you go kill a man when she with. Right? So if you have control over this inordinate affection, you need to have that belief as the foundation. You need to believe that the Most High have the ability to change it, right? Through walking in my laws, statutes, and commandments. Once you believe that, right, and you go on your belief, you do according to your belief, then you're gonna have that control where you need, right? Because again, all of we are flesh. Right. So we need to have that control to mortify the members. Right, to put it in order. So First Corinthians 9, verse 25. It says, so it said, know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize, so run that ye may obtain. And every man that striveth for mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. I therefore so run, not as uncertainly, right? Not as uncertainly, under the point, not as uncertain, because the device of men are uncertain, right? They try a lot of things, but they don't work. So if you have that foundational belief, now the Most High God is a difficult thing for them to do, because all of their life, they try a bunch of things, right? And enough come out. So if you believe wholly in the Most High and all His ways, and not something when men can easily adapt, but that's all we have to adapt, right? It says not as uncertainly. So if I not as one that beated the air, I mean say all your works is in vain, right? Not as one that beated the air. So you don't want to the knowledge with uncertainty. When uncertain means they don't. You're not sure what's going to happen. Like, no, I want please quick reset. Start 2 and verse 5. It says, woe be to the fearful heart and faint hands and a sinner that goeth 2 ways. Why, woe be to the fearful hearts and the faint hands and the sinner that goeth 2 ways. Right? You're the one foot in the truth and one foot in the world. Because then you're uncertain about the ways of the Most High God. You're uncertain about keeping the Most High commandments. Right? And once you're uncertain, nothing not gonna work. Right? You have to have that faithful foundation to have that control over your body. Right? It says, woe unto you that have lost patience. It's like, woe unto him that is faint hearted, for he believeth not. Therefore he shall not be defended. Right? Therefore shall he not be defended. So once you don't have that belief, once you don't have that surety, then you're not going to be defended. Right? That's the requirement. So you don't want to fight uncertain. Right? It says, I therefore shall run not uncertainly, so fight I not as one that beats a deer, but I keep under my body and bring it under subjection into subjection, right? I bring it into subjection, lest but by any means when I have preached to others, I myself should be cast away. So if you don't bring your body under subjection, you're gonna be prone to lust. Right? And again, that foundation you need is believing on the Most High God. Right? And if you don't believe, and have that surety, there will be no result. Right? This is Psalms 19 and verse 6. It says, verse 7, the law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. Right? Converting the soul. So you keeping the most of the laws is when you're going to see the results. Right? And you don't have to be uncertain. You know, you want if this will work, if this will give you the control you need. Right? You have to be certain when doing the work of the Most High. Right? When keeping the commandment, you have to be sure and don't have no doubt. Because again, when you are though, you're not gonna have the ability, you're not gonna see no results. Don't the end of doubt is not a proper result. So we have to have that control over our spirit. The first is just for verse 15. Because you know, man natural nature is to give everything when you have to the woman, right? And to serve the woman, right? And do anything that they poor forget that, body parts. That's a man natural, that's a in nature, right? So again, we need to control that. It's first, it's just 4 verses 2. It says, women have borne the king and all the people that they ruled by sea and land. Even of them came they, and they nourished them up that planted the vineyards from whence the wine cometh. These also make garments for men. These bring glory unto men, and without women cannot men be. Yea, and if men have gathered together gold and silver, or any other goodly thing, would they not love woman, which is comely in favor and beauty? And letting all those things go, do they not gape and even with open mouth fix their eyes fast on her, and have not all men more desire unto her than silver or gold, or any goodly thing whatsoever? Someone have more desire to woman, right, than silver or gold. Men will do things what they normally wouldn't do just for a woman, right? And we want to control that spirit, control that emotion, and use that for the proper thing, which is keeping the most of the commandments. Let's start at 19 and verse 1. A laboring man that is given to drunkenness shall not be rich, and he that contendeth small things shall fall little and little. Wine and women will make men of understanding fall away, and he that cleaveth to harlots shall become impudent. Right? Wine and women will make men of understanding fall away. Right? And as I said, there's many examples. Right? You have Solomon. Right? You have Samson. Right? We have wicked Ahab with his wife Jezebel. Right? It will make men of understanding fall away. Right? So don't be puffed up and think say yo because you know the precepts or whatnot you are. You have to maintain that work. You have to be consistent with the work of the Most High God. Because Satan is consistent. Right? Again, I always made the point with the war. But you have to have the mindset of a general. Right? You can't have the mindset just of a normal citizen. You get up in the morning, brush your teeth, wash your face, like I work. Right? You're not planning for nothing, prepare for nothing. You just assimilate. Right? You have to have that plan of action and that preparation mindset. Right? Paul said, there's nothing, brothers don't have to have this statement, confirm. Don't have to be confident within this statement. Paul said, there's nothing present, nor nothing to come, nor there's or any situation, right? Our angel, for that matter, can take him out of the truth. Right? I'm getting that. Romans 8 and that's the verse 33. Who shall lay anything to the charge of God's elect? It is God that justifies, right? And another thing, brothers, will have stop, put yourself down, right? It says, who shall lay anything to the charge of God's elect? It is God that justified. Who is he that condemneth? It is Christ that died, he rather is risen again. Was he even, it's like, who is even at the right hand of God, who also maketh intercession for us? Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall tribulation, or distress, or persecution, or famine, or nakedness, or peril, or the sword? Right? So you have to have that mindset. Say there's nothing where you go through, or possible will go through, can separate you from keeping the Most High commandments. Right? Brothers stress out about the least of things. My brothers stress out about the simplest of things. Right? You got camp a woman, a complaint say you got camp every week. Right? Why you don't want to celebrate her birthday? Why you don't want to come out Christmas to celebrate Christmas with our family or Easter with our family? Right? You're stressed out. Right? It says if you're a woman not agree, give her a bill of divorcement and let her go. Right, brothers, if you have that mindset, you want to cleave to the Most High God. You want to have that mindset where we let go evil, we eschew evil, right? We abhor evil, we hate evil, right? That ready rebuke mindset, right? You don't want to one spirit come to tempt you, and you give it, substance, you entertain it, right? This is Sarah 25, that's sort of verse 23, sort of verse, so what I want. Sorry. Oh boy. So the thing is, alright, so like verse, verse 16. I had rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than to keep house with a wicked woman. The wickedness of a woman changeth her face and darketh her countenance like sackcloth. Her husband shall sit among his neighbors, and when he hear it, he shall sigh bitterly. Right, so if you don't mortify your members, if you don't have the order or control over your spirit, you're going to end up with a woman. You're going half your life. Right, you're going to split your lifetime in two. Right, I'm going to get that praise real quick. Right, sorry, 26, verse 7. It says, and if the wife, right, is a yoke shaken to and fro, and he that hold of her is as though he held a scorpion. A drunken woman and a gather abroad cause a great anger, and she shall not cover her own shame. Right? Is an evil wife is like a yoke throwing to and fro. Right? So if you don't have the control over your spirit, you're going to just, take up anything available. Right? And you claim say they're not true, you claim say yeah, do according to the most high God. And with that statement, Satan upon your head. Right? His job is to prove your word. Right? So the mean just sleeping on it and gonna send one woman that is not according to, the truth. Or have no agreement or no sense of love for the truth. Right? As they say in the world, don't go shopping, don't go to supermarket when you're hungry. Right? So mortify your members, have that control within yourself. And it all begin at belief. Right? So Psalm 25 and verse 16. It says, I rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than to keep house with a wicked woman. Right? Than to keep house with a wicked woman. When brothers, as the precepts say, work your work B times, and God shall bring the war. Right? Patience, the end of patience is joy and peace. Right? The end of patience is joy and peace. Right? And the book of Tobit is a beautiful, mighty book. Right? Remember, you have this woman where go through a lot of distress because every time she married one man in dead, right? Because she was meant for Tobias' son, right? And it really caused her for a depression. But she was patient, and so was Tobias' son. And the most I end up make them meet each other and they married. So when it comes on to choosing a spouse, having a woman, make sure so that woman in agreement and love the Most High just like you love the Most High. Because if that's not the case, you're literally going to just hold on yourself. You're literally a create fight right for yourself. Right, when you could have used that same time where you have to do a court, right? You have to the one bugger run up and down for papers, right? Divorce money, alimony, and all this foolishness. You could have used all that time and energy, in a doing the work in a charity, right? Having a wife who agree with the truth. It says, and there is no con. I had rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than to keep house with a wicked woman. The wickedness of a woman changed her face and darkened her countenance like sackcloth. Her husband shall sit among his neighbors. When he hear it, he shall sigh bitterly. So you're going to become the talk of the town, right? And it's just like how the most I say, yo, when you seek him, get up real quick. When you seek him, you have to put for all your strength. Satan gonna put for all his strength to destroy. Sorry, 43 verse 30. When you glorify the Lord, exalt him as much as he can. For even yet will he far exceed. When you exalt him, put forth all your strength. Right? When you exalt him, put forth all your strength, and be not weary, for ye can never go far enough. Right? And be not weary, for ye can never go far enough. So just like how the Most High advise you, right? He admonish you to put forth all your strength. Satan won't put forth all his strength to bring you down. Right? He not gonna come up with half-based plan. Right? No piss poor planning. Right? You gonna get that woman who gonna tempt you day and night. Right? These are Judges 16 and verse 16. We're gonna get the worst of the worst. Right? Judges 16 verse 16. And it came to pass when she pressed him daily with her words and urged him so that his soul was vexed unto death. Right? I'm starting verse 14. And she fasted it with pain and said unto him, the Philistine slap. Right? And the story with Samson and Delilah is just show you the depths of a man, we do for women. And how we become fools for their sake. He said, and she fasted with pain, and said unto him, the Philistine be upon thee, Samson. And he, ah boy, sorry. And he awaked out of his sleep, and went away with his pain and the beam, and with the web. And she said unto him, how canst thou say, I love thee, when thy heart is not with me? Thou hast mocked me these 3 times, and hast not told me wherein thy strength lies. And it came to pass, when she pressed him daily with her words, and urged him, so that his soul was vexed unto death. Right? You can't, God, the Passover in peace, in peace. Right? Every single than Christmas. Right? 1 month before Christmas, she reminded us that she attended the Feast of Tabernacles. Right? She was there for the 8 days, mosquito bite her, right? The water went cold. She didn't have no service. She endured all of the pain to celebrate the tabernacles. Right? Pressed you for the whole month before Christmas. So you have to come, at a family event. right? So you want to have a wife that agree with you. It says three things was beautiful, right? Get a precept real quick. It says, in three things I was beautified, and stood up beautiful both before God and men, the unity of brethren, the love of neighbors, and a man and a wife that agree together. Right? A man and a wife that agree together. You know why you go this way and your wife I go that way, and while she go that way, she try to drag you to go that way. Right? There's no sense in all that. You can't, you can't set yourself in a household like that. And if you don't mortify your members, you're gonna pick up anything from the road. And again, because Satan's job is to destroy you, you're gonna get the worst of the worst. So have patience and work your work big times. Occupy yourself in the work of the Most High God and stop being distracted. And stop make the simplest of things, stress you out. This is Sirach 39 verse 1. It says, and he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all ancient and be occupied in prophecies, not occupied on TikTok, Instagram, right? God, it does a scroll, right? Not occupied, watching God knows what, right? Not occupied, who DMs, right? You want to be occupied in prophecy. And for the brothers who have, they have a series where they might watch. Careful, be careful, what you consume, because everything is a process, and you might give space to a little leisure, to, as we say, watching a series, playing the game, right? Watch where you consume, right? And especially watch the time where you consume, right? Examine how much time you give leisure, right? Examine how much time you give leisure. This is Proverbs 6, and let's start at verse 1. It says, my son, if thou surely if thou be surety for thy friend, thou hast stricken thy hand with a stranger, thou art near with the words of thy mouth, thou art taken with the words of thy mouth. Do this now, my son, and deliver thy soul when thou art come into the hand of thy friend. Come now jump to verse let me see what I want. Verse 6. Go to the ant, thou sucker, consider her ways and be wise, which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, and provided her meat in the summer, and gathered her food in the harvest. O long will thou sleep, O sluggard, right? When when will thou arise out of thy sleep? Yet a little sleep, yet a little slumber, right? Yet a little sleep, yet a little slumber. Just one more episode, just one more match, right? Yet a little sleep, yeah. Men and women that are in the truth, your life has to be ordered. You have to have a pattern of good works. You can't just wing it, right? Because there's something out there that trying to stop you from keeping the commandments. They're trying to stop you from wearing the fringes, right? Women being adorned in modest dresses, right? Men being men, right? Keeping the Passover, rehearsing the righteous acts of the Messiah, bringing back the culture of the Messiah, bringing back the culture, the heritage, the history of people, right? Because if you're bugged out, you're gonna start wearing that modest apparel, right? You're gonna stop keeping the Sabbath, right? You're gonna stop honoring, the feast day of the Most High God, right? You're gonna become like the men and women and the children in the days of Nehemiah. Let me get that right. Right? You couldn't even tell if they were Israel or not. You're just in other world, right? Nehemiah 13 and servers. Finish it. It says, in those days also I saw Jews that had married a wife of Ashdod, and that are the estate of our people, right? is a strange people, from the heritage. As Moses said, thou shalt discontinue from the heritage, right? For their children speak half in the speech of Ashdod and could not speak in the Jewish language, right? But according to the language of each people, just all over the place. And I contended with them and cursed them and smote certain of them and plucked off their and plucked out their ear, and made them swear by God, saying, Ye shall not give your daughters unto their sons, right? Nor take their daughters unto your sons, or for yourselves. Did not Solomon, king of Israel, sin by these things? Yet among many nations was there no king like him, who was beloved of his God, and God made him king over all Israel. Nevertheless, him did an outlandish woman cause to sin. Right? So you have all the control, right, over your spirit. Right? If you're bugged out, right, you're not have the will, for God to pass over. You don't have the joy to celebrate tabernacles. Not minding that mosquito bite. Not minding that cold water. Right? You can always find problem. Right? With keeping the feast days, you always find problem. No wearing fringes. Right? But if you have that will, if you have that, joy in the truth, it's gonna be, great for you, keep the Passover. You're gonna enjoy keeping the Passover. You're gonna try your best, whatever it takes for keep the Passover. To enjoy your tabernacles. Right? So again, there is something out there who wants to stop you from wearing that fringe. Stop the woman from, wearing modest apparel, right? And stop the men from being men. Right? So you don't want to wait, right? You don't want to just a little more, just a little folding out the hands to sleep. One more game, one more episode, right? Everything has to be moderate, right? It says Proverbs 6 and verse. So count. It says, yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. Social like poverty come as one that travel, and they want as an armed man. So the less you labor, the less you keep occupied, the more you're gonna want. It's as simple as that. Right? I love to use, carnal examples because men seem to learn from carnal things. They're not spiritual. Right? Any doctor, lawyer, anybody who have proper, degree or masters, you ask them the process and how tight the schedule had to be to achieve that degree, and how much they have to study, and how much they have to sacrifice. Right? That is the essence of the truth. As Paul said, then run the race, right? Then do the things they achieve, but then do it to achieve a carnal goal. Right? How much more the kingdom of heaven? Because that is the point of reading the truth. Right? Being changed, having a perfect will towards the Most High, right? Achieving the kingdom of heaven. That are the goal. And to get to that goal, you have to be consistent. Right? So come. So, Sarah 25 verse 17. Come. By verse 19, all wickedness is but little to the wickedness of woman. Let the portion of a sinner fall upon her. Right? Let the portion of her sinner fall upon her. So if you continuously go off, you continuously stray away from the Most High, you're going to eventually, unfortunately, to the brothers who is not as married as it. Right? Or who even do have a marriage, right, with a righteous woman, eventually the most they're gonna make you lose her, right? And your portion is with a wicked woman, right? So as men, we are leaders, right? You have to have the control over your body, right? It says, as the climbing up a sunny way is the feet of the age. So is a wife full of words to acquire. Where it says, as the climbing up a sandy way is to the feet of a age of the age, so is a wife full of words of a quiet man. Right? Argument of argument. Why you have to come and work with those clothes? Right? Why you have to keep calm? Right outside in the workplace. Can you stop wearing those garments? What's that stuff for? Right? Are you working over there with those furnaces? Alright, what do you do with those furnaces? Slack out with those, right? Frankincense and myrrh, or is that obia, right? Always, bring up, unforeseen conversation, right? We now have nothing to do with that. Now have no sense of respect of you serving Most High God, right? So is a wife full of words to a quiet man. Stumble not at the beauty of a woman, right? Stumble not of the beauty of a woman. And brothers, we understand the definition of beauty, right? What is beautiful, right? Beauty upon a face value is not true beauty, right? But beauty is found in someone works, their morals, right? It says, someone at her beauty of a woman and desire her not for pleasure, right? And desire her not for pleasure. Some men who have that inordinate affection, right? They're not gonna have the control over their spirit, over their body, to fall to a woman, right, with a beautiful face and a proper body posture, right? It says a woman, if she maintain her husband is full of anger, impudent, and much reproach. A wicked woman abated the courage and make it an heavy countenance and wounded her heart. So again, to the brothers who don't have a wife, be patient, right? Because at the end of the day, you want to God, heavy, you want to, achieve the goal, of being the hopeful elect, right? And if you just pick one woman we don't believe in the truth, you're literally just a cause a problem for yourself, right? Because the truth and the world, it don't mesh. There's no common ground, right? So you can't, go in a relationship expecting things to be in peace. She alright with you, it just not gonna work, right? It says a wicked woman abated the courage, right? Make it an heavy countenance and wounded her heart. A woman that will not comfort her husband in distress, make it weak hands and feeble knees, right? Make it weak hands and feeble knees, right? And you're not gonna get no comfort from her when she simple, she angry, right? Again and again, she press you on coming to the Christmas holidays, coming to the Easter festivities, but you decide to say not, you decide to say you stand firm, right? When you go out there and you face the world, you come from work, right? Your manager, your supervisor stress you out. She not gonna do that for rub down your back, cause to her you stress her out, right? She can't show up in her family, her man not come. Right, she tired of making excuse. Every year she have to make excuse. Say, your work, right? Your work, I have you, right? Where, or you keep camp, right? You have even an excuse, say you work of you, right? When you know where you live on the street and you teach, right? So she not gonna be a comfort. She not gonna have that mind state for believe because she just don't believe in your lifestyle, right? She don't believe in your lifestyle. So it's just not gonna work. So have patience and work the times. It says after, after woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all died. Give water to passage, neither give the water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to God abroad, right? Neither a wicked woman liberty to God abroad. If she gonna as thou wouldest have her, cut her off from thy flesh, and give her a bill of divorce, and let her go. Right? If she gonna as thou wouldest have her, cut her off, so like you cut her off from thy flesh and give her a bill of divorce and let her go. Right? And prevention is better than cure. Prevention is better than cure. It's better if you have a wife that is in agreement with you than you just pick up one woman on the street, for pleasure, and eventually she cause problem, right? Because again, you probably have a child with that woman, and you have to a court fight for custody for your picnic. I mean, it's just certain thing unnecessary, right? All of that time you spend in a court and money to pay a lawyer, for make it the judge convinced that you have the ability to take care of your children, the amount of effort would that take. When that effort you could have used all of the time and effort in doing the work. Galatians 5 and verse 6. It says, I say then walk in the spirit, and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the spirit lusteth against the for the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. Right, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. So work your work be times, have patience. That are the point of being in the truth, having patience. That are the four the most I want to have. Right, patience, long suffering, meekness, kindness, and get out. Right. Galatians 5 on verse 20. So, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy. You're going to have joy. You're going to be, you know, happy. Right? If you have a woman, you come from work, she always a try to tend to you. You're the your Sabbath. Sit down, you're tired. Or you don't feel like for God camp today. Alright? You just want rest. Right? But she come up to you, right, and she bring on precept. Right? Right? Give one precept and say, yo, what you know? Go and do the work of the Most High. Right? Go on a camp. Right? Go out there and bring back the hopeful of it. Right? You're gonna be happy. You're gonna bring a sense of joy in your spirit. Right? So it says joy, long suffering. Joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such things there's none. Right? So you want to have that spirit of patience and work times. Right? So don't just sit down and wait. Be goal oriented. orientated and put for everything you have in those goals and make sure so you achieve those goals. Because if you don't make sure to achieve those goals, the only way you go is backward. Right? So be goal oriented. Make sure so you have a proper schedule, right? And be patient. And the most I will give you in due time what is needed. Right? So come. The first verse is 4 verse 15. It says, women have borne the king, and all the people that bear rule by sea and land. Even of them came they, and they nourished them, and planted the vineyards, from whence the wine cometh. These also make garments for men, these bring glory unto men, and without women cannot men be. Yea, and if men have gathered together gold and silver, or any other goodly thing, do they not love a woman which is come in favor and beauty? And letting all those things go, do they not keep and even with open mouth fix their eyes fast on her? And have not all men more desire unto her than unto silver or gold, or any goodly thing whatsoever? A man leaveth his own father that brought him up, and his own country, and cleaveth unto his wife. He sticketh not to spend his life with his wife, and remember neither father, nor mother, nor country. By this also ye must know that women have power dominion over you, right? By this ye also ye must know that women have dominion over you. Right? They know one position where women have dominion over you. Right? They have the ability to waive your decisions. Right? If you got camp, you're the reader, you're the only reader what the brother have. Right? Or you're the only person where know the precepts, have the ability to defend the gospel. Right? And you're there, you gotta argue with a woman. Right? And she's just always head up on the street side. Right? I do the work of the moon side. Right? And because you want something tonight, you want a little piece tonight, they say, I can't. Right? It says, by this also ye must know that women have dominion over you. Do ye not labor and toil and give and bring all to women? Here a man taketh his sword and goeth his way to rob and to steal and to sail upon the sea and upon rivers, and looketh upon a lion and goeth in the darkness. When he had stolen, spoiled, and robbed, he bringeth to his love. Right? He bringeth to his love. Wherefore, a man loveth his wife better than father or mother. Right? Ye many there be that have run out of their wits for women. Right? Ye many there be that have run out their wits for women and become servants for their sake. Right? And have become servants for their sake. So because you know patience, because you know have that long suffering within you, you're just going to take up any woman because you want to fulfill that that pleasure, that lust. Right? And then you become a servant to that woman, right? And have become servants for their sakes. Many also have perished and have erred and have sinned for a woman. And now do ye not believe me? Is not the king great in his power? Do not our regions fear to touch him? Yet did I see him, and Apim, the king's concubine, the daughter of the admirable Barnabas, sitting at the right hand of the king, and taking the crown from the king's head, and set it upon her own head. She also struck the king with her left hand. And yet for all this the king gaped and gazed upon her with an open mouth. If she laughed upon him, he laughed also. But if she took any displeasure at him, the king was fain to flatter, that she might be reconciled to him again. O ye men, how can it be that women be strong, seeing they do thus? Right, so it's not one king, right, and one harlot having run her finger, right? And this has been many cases of mighty men in the past, right? And we see it a lot in our society, right? Men have their good wives, they have their children, and just because of a wicked woman abroad, all of that does break up, right? You have your wife, you have a proper job, you practically have everything what you need, right? And because I'm a woman outside, you're gonna break, you're gonna destroy all of that for one night, one moment of pleasure. You're gonna destroy that, right? And again, this has been the cases of many men, right? Even mighty men, right? So if you break that, curse, for lack of a better term, you have to be consistent. He said, "O ye men, how can it be? But women should be strong, seeing they do thus." Then the king and the princes looked one upon another. So he began to speak of the truth. Right? So he began to speak of the truth. O ye men, are not women strong? Great is the earth, high is the heaven. Swift is the sun in his course, for he encompasseth the heavens round about, and fetcheth his course again to his own place in one day. Is he not great that maketh these things? Therefore, great is the truth, and stronger than all things. Great is the truth, and stronger than all things. Right? So if you want to mortify your members, if you want to have that control over your spirit, right, adhere unto the truth. Right? This is Psalms 119 and verse 142. Right? It says, "The righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth." Right? And thy law is the truth. So as the brother say, great is the world, right? It's like a great is the truth and stronger than all these things. So if you don't want to have inordinate love or inordinate affection to foolishness, then adhere, put yourself under the bondage, right? Put yourself under the suffering of the truth, right? And as the brother said, how we get this precept, right? He said, there's a shame that is glory and grace, right? It's a Psalm 4 and a Psalm 15. Verse 11. It says, "Wisdom exalted her children, and laid hold of them that seek her." Right? And lay hold of them that seek her. Right? You don't want to, you have a seek righteousness. Right? You don't want to making a hobby or one thing you just do 10 minutes a day. Right? Or anytime you fast or anytime you pray. There's always something. There's always a problem. Right? And then that seek her. The Proverbs 2 and verse 3. It says, "If thou Christ," verse 2, it says, "So that's like a so that thou incline unto ear, thine ear unto wisdom, and apply thy heart to understanding. Yea, if thou Christ after knowledge, and lift up thy voice for understanding, if thou seekest her as silver, and searchest for her as hid treasures." Right? That are the secret to achieve wisdom. If a seeker has hidden treasure, is it just like you would grind night and day to get that bank account up, or if you get that financial stability, that same energy, that same mentality you have to have when it comes to wisdom. Right? It's a wisdom of Solomon 7 and verse 30. Right? And you won't achieve, that mindset, that will, without consistency. Right? It says, "I learn diligently, and you communicate her liberally. I do not hide her riches." Right? It says, "I learn diligently, and do communicate her liberally. I do not hide her riches." I'm start up from so what I want. Verse 7. Come. It says, "Wherefore I prayed, and understanding was given me. I called upon God, and the spirit of wisdom came to me. I perverted her above scepters and thrones, and esteemed riches nothing in comparison of her." Right? Nothing in comparisons of her. Right? It's a First Samuel 2 and verse 3, right? It says, talk no more so exceedingly proudly, let not arrogancy come out of your mouth. For the Lord God is a God of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed. Right? By him actions are weighed. Again, if you get that bank account, if you get that stability in your bank account, you're willing to work day and night. You're willing to do some very inconvenient things to get a bank account up. That same enjoy you have towards financial stability, you ever have towards wisdom. Right? Back to wisdom of Solomon. He said, neither compared I unto her any precious stone, because all gold in respect of her is as a little sand, and silver shall be counted as clay before her. I loved her above health and beauty, and chose to have her instead of light. For the light that cometh from her never goeth out. All good things together came to me with her, and innumerable riches in her hands. And I rejoiced in them all, because wisdom went before them. I knew not that she was the mother of them. I learned diligently and do communicate her liberally. Right? I learn diligently and communicate her liberally. I do not hide her riches. Right? Wisdom is the mother of, joy, peace, and having riches. Right? Wisdom is the mother of these things, because you spend all your hours, all your effort to achieve these things, but then temporary. And in a lot of cases, you know, men that have, done things that are unseemly, right? They achieve riches, they achieve financial stability, but they're not happy. Because the things that when they ain't happy, go through the things and the decisions that they have to make to get to that point, it just don't satisfy them. Right? This is Sirach 31 and verse 1. So that one. He said, watching for riches consumeth the flesh, and the care thereof driveth away sleep. Watching care will not let a man slumber, as a sore disease breaketh sleep. The rich had great labor in gathering riches together, and when he rested, he is filled with his delicates. The poor laboureth in his poor estate, and when he leaveth off, he is still needy. He that loveth gold shall not be justified, and he that followeth corruption shall have enough thereof. Gold had been the ruin of many, and their destruction was present. It is a stumbling block unto them that sacrifice unto it, and every fool shall be taken therewith. Right? It is a stumbling block unto them that sacrifice unto it, and every fool shall be taken therewith. Right? Again, there are many examples where men, my people, have sacrificed, have done God knows what to achieve, stability, financial stability. And because the other things though they do forget it, they're not satisfied. Right? They're not at peace. But wisdom is the mother of these things. When you're diligent and you put them above, you know, the ways of this world, when you achieve financial stability, when you get that spouse, right, you're going to be happy, right? Because you get it through wisdom. You get it through long suffering, through patience, right? It says, I knew not that she was the mother of them all. Okay. Right. It says, wisdom exalts their children, and lead all of them that seek her. Right. He that loveth her loveth life, and they that seek her early shall be filled with joy. He that holdeth her fast shall inherit glory, and whatsoever she entereth, the Lord will bless. Right. The Lord will bless. Let me get this scripture real quick. It's always in Psalm 1, verse 3. For forward thoughts separate from God, and his power, when it is tried, reproveth the unwise. For unto a malicious soul wisdom shall not enter, nor dwell in a body that is subject unto sin. Right? That is subject unto sin. So if you don't mortify your members, you're going to be subject unto sin. It's only a matter of time right? Until I accept the request from the heart. My husband always go on business trip, right? Twice every month, why you not come over? Right, you not please me no more. Why you not come over? Right? If you don't mortify your members, you are subject to sin, and wisdom cannot enter into a person that is subjugated to sin. There's only a time stamp between them and sin. Right? It says, for the Holy Spirit of discipline will flee the sin and remove from thoughts that are without understanding. I will not abide when unrighteousness cometh in. Right? I will not abide when unrighteousness cometh in. Right? Verse 4, verse 12. It says, he that loveth her loveth life, and he that seek to her early shall be filled with joy. He that hold her fast shall inherit glory, and whatsoever she entereth, the Lord will bless. They that serve her shall minister to the Holy One, and they that love her, the Lord doth love. Whoso giveth ear unto her shall judge the nations, and he that attendeth unto her shall dwell securely. Right, shall dwell securely. Right, so we want to have this will, right, this uncontrollable love to do the work, right, to apply the knowledge of the Most High God, to learn, right, because the affliction, the chastisement, the things that we are go through is a learning process. The Most High put you through them for learn, and if you don't apply the right things, the right, tactics, you're not gonna learn from the situation, right? If you don't apply the truth, right, the affliction gonna be a destruction, right? Because you are worried about the smallest things, right? You're not turn to the most side, you're not trying to apply the truth whenever you're in a certain problem, right? You don't want your affliction be a destruction, you want your affliction be a growth, and you want to learn as you go, right? It says, for if a man commit himself unto her, he shall inherit her, and his generation shall hold her in possession. Right? For at first she will walk with him by crooked ways, and bring fear and dread upon him. Right? And bring fear and dread upon him. So you're gonna go through some very unforeseen circumstances. Right? But why? And torment him with her discipline. Right? Because you want your learn to be disciplined. Because if you don't discipline, you can't maintain her. You can't maintain wisdom if you don't discipline. Solomon had wisdom, but he wasn't disciplined, hence the reason why he fell. Right? And tormented him with her discipline until she may trust his soul and try him by her laws. Right? And try him by her laws. Right? And again, all of this, if you have the power, if you have the will, if you have the belief to continue, right, it starts from, right, that fear of the Most High. Right? You have to trust that he can deliver you, and you have to trust you. There's no situation that exists where the Most High, can help you, right? And that's how, you have that fire in it. That's how you have that will to continually make the right decision because you're trusting that the Most High God. Right? Let me get that piece of request. It says, 2 verse 16, they that fear the Lord will not disobey his word, and they that love him will keep his ways. Right, I'm gonna start up so far. Let me see what can. Can. So verse 8 says, ye that fear the Lord, wait for his mercy, and go not aside, lest he fall. Ye that fear Yahweh, hope for good, and everlasting joy and mercy. Look at the generations of old, and see, did any ever trust in the Lord, and was confounded? Or did any abide in his fear, and was forsaken? or whom did he ever despise that call upon him? For the Lord is full of compassion and mercy, long suffering, and very pitiful, and forgiveth sins, and saveth in time of affliction. Right? Verse 15. They that fear the Lord will not disobey his words. Right? So it's like it says, look on the generations of old. Did any of them trust in the Most High and was forsaken? Right? It says, they that fear the Lord will seek that which is well pleasing unto him, and they that love him shall be filled with the law. They that fear Yahweh will prepare their hearts and humble their soul in his sight, saying, we will fall in the hands of the Lord and not in the hands of men. For as his majesty is, so is his mercy. Right? As his majesty is, so is his mercy. Right? So it comes with that fear and that love, towards the Most High God. Right? For as his majesty is, so is his mercy. So come. So it says, and torment him with her discipline until she may trust his soul and try him by her laws. Right? So when wisdom says that you have that discipline, says that you have the consistency in keeping the Most High commandments and overcoming temptation, verse 18, then will she return straightway unto him and comfort him and show him her secrets. Right? But if he go wrong, right, if he stop be disciplined, she will forsake him and give him over to his own ruin. Observe the opportunity and beware of evil. Right? This is the point. Observe the opportunity. Your affliction is not the most wanting to destroy you, but it's an opportunity to get better. Right? And it won't be opportunity if you're stagnant. Right? It's not gonna be opportunity if you are worried about 10,000 different things. Right? You're stressed about 10,000 different things. You know, plan, make no action, take an action to put yourself in a better position. And now that be something to make it better if you are worried about it too much. Right? It's only gonna be opportunity if you use the truth, right? If you apply the truth to the situation. Right? It says, observe the opportunity and beware of evil, and be not ashamed when it concerneth thy soul. Right? Be not ashamed when it concerneth thy soul, for there is a shame that bringeth sin, and there is a shame which is glory and grace. Right? There is a shame that bringeth sin, and there is a shame that is glory and grace. Accept no person against thy soul, and let the reverence of any man cause thee to fall, and refrain not to speak when there is occasion to do good. Right? And hide not thy wisdom in her beauty. Makan. Right? It says, observe the opportunity and beware of evil. Right? So accept the affliction, do the works of the Most High to make sure that the affliction going to get better. Right? Have that patience and that long suffering. Right? Because patience brings joy and peace. And guess our by Sirach 6 verse 18. My son, gather instruction from thy youth up, so shall thou find wisdom until thy old age. Especially to the brothers that are young, right? Cleave to the Most High God, cleave to his instruction, and apply the knowledge as much as I can. And you will find fruit there. In our world like this, we constantly teach, we young men for, do the wrong, and upon the wrong path, you have to cleave to the word of the Most High and stick to it. Right? Because it's an easy thing to slip in this world. Right? My son, gather instruction from thy youth up, so shall thou find wisdom till thy old age. Come unto her as one that ploweth and soweth, and wait for her good fruit. Right? And wait for her good fruits. Right? Just like a farmer who is diligent, right? Then sow the seed, then water the plant, every day. Right? And then continuously take care of that plant, and continuously take care of that plant until then get the fruit, to enjoy, right? For reap. right? And that is the case within this truth. You have to be goal oriented. You have to examine yourself, see where the wrong, see what go on, have plans, right? If not, life just gonna be stressing. Right? If not, everything going to stress you all the time. You're going tired of people, you're going tired of your work, you're going tired of this because you're not on a plan. Right? But they have that plan. If you have that mindset, then you're going to see the necessity of affliction. You're going to see the necessity of being in pain. Right? And you're going to be grateful for the position that you're in. Right? And that's the difference, that's the key difference between those who endure and those who not. One complain and one is thankful. It says, my son, get instruction from the youth up, so shall thou find wisdom till thy own age. Come unto her as one that ploweth and soweth, and wait for her good fruits, for thou shalt not toil much in laboring about her, but thou shalt eat of her fruits right soon. She is very unpleasant to the unlearned. Right, so the affliction we are going through, right, is unpleasant to the right, unpleasant to people, right, in other words, right, don't understand why you go through certain things, right, and who 9 times out of 10 would like not to go through that, right, is unpleasant to the unlearned. He that is without understanding will not remain with her. She will lie upon him as a mighty stone of trial, and he will cast her from him ere it be long. For wisdom is according to her name, and she is not manifest unto men. Give ear, my son, receive my advice, and refuse not my counsel. And put thy feet unto her feathers, and thy neck into her chains. Bow down thy shoulder, and bear her, and be not grieved with her bonds. Right? Be not grieved with her bonds. That is the point. Be not grieved with her bonds. Come unto her with thy whole heart, and keep her ways with all thy power. Search and seek, and she will be made known unto thee. And when thou hast got hold of her, let her not go. Right? And when thou hast got hold of her, let her not go. Right? Let her not go. So once you have that discipline schedule, you have your prayer 8 times a day, you fast once a week, right? Don't let go of that schedule. And as me say, always be goal oriented, and your goal will be towards keeping the Most High God and increasing within the truth, solving the problems before they even appear, right? And attending to the flock, attending to the work, right? You don't have to be laid back and just wait until every problem below, right? Be a shepherd, right, and have that sense of determination, have that sense of control over your mind, right? It says, come unto her with thy whole heart, and keep thy ways with all thy power, right? With all thy power. Verse 28, for at last thou shalt Salakia, for at last thou shalt find her rest, and that shall be turned to thy joy. Right, as we read in Psalm 25:1, it's a beautiful thing to have a wife that is agree with you, that's within the truth, will counsel you to do righteousness. It's a really beautiful thing, right? To have a stable wife, right? And again, to the brothers that are single, the most I teach you patience and teach your responsibility, right? That when once you get a woman who fear him, right, you're gonna be the leader of the household. Once you get a woman who fear him, you know how to lead, you know how to maintain a family, right? You know how to teach your children, you know how to be a father because you have that discipline, right? It says, search and seek, and she shall make known unto thee. Otherwise, the all of us like it. Converse on it. Then shall her fetters be a strong defense, right, for thee, and her chains a robe of glory. Right, that patience, the continually study that you had, the fight where you had, for fast, for prayer, right? It gonna be your strong defense, right? Calm, right? So have that control over your body, be goal oriented. Whatever temptation you go through, whatever thing you go through, be goal oriented and try your best in the shortest amount of time to get rid of it. Right? Have plans to overcome, you know, whatever temptation you go through. Right? Because the precepts say he that he fulfilled a long time, those who repented in a short time or was perfected in a short time. The more time you can spend on yourself and become perfect with the most high, the more time you have available to do the work, to do the ministry. Right? But with that, brothers have control over their spirit, brothers be patient, be temperate, and learn meekness. Right? And please understand the goal. Right? The most I gonna give you the kingdom of heaven. Right? The most I gonna give you the kingdom of heaven. Ask yourself this. If a man give a government for run, right, do you have the ability to properly manage it? Do you have the ability to run it and make it prosper? Right, or you gonna run it to the ground? If I can't manage a simple, having the ability to be a leader over a simple state or a simple city, then I'm not gonna have the ability to be, to have be a king or receive the inheritance of the kingdom of heaven. Right? It says, "Ye shall be called the priests of the Lord." Right? And in their riches shall you boast yourselves. So you need to have that strong mindset, that again goal oriented mindset. Revelation 3 verse 2. Be watchful and strengthen the things, right, which remain that are ready to die, for I have not found that perfect before God. So remember therefore how thou hast received and heard, and will fast and repent. If therefore thou shalt not watch, I will command thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee. Right, verse 11. It says, "Behold, I come quickly, Slakia, hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown." Right, hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. Him that overcometh will I grant to sit with me, right? So him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go no more out, and write upon him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, which is New Jerusalem, right? Which cometh down out of heaven from my God, and I'll write upon him my new name. He that have an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. Verse 15. I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. But I would that thou wert cold or hot. So then, because thou art lukewarm, I'll spew thee out of my mouth. Because thou sayest, I am rich, and increase with goods, and have need of nothing. Not that thou art wretched, miserable, poor, blind, and naked. I counted thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich, white remnant, that thou mayest be clothed, and that the shame of thy nakedness do not appear. Right, and light thy eyes with eye salves, that those may see, and as many as I love, I rebuke and chastise. Be zealous therefore, and repent. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I'll come into him, I will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcometh will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame, and sat down with my Father in his throne. Version 22 verse 12. It says, Revelation 22 verse 12. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according to his work shall be. But with that, most are willing were edified. Amen. Shalom.